Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends and neighbors, what do you say? Good morning. Great to see you this morning. This is The Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., bringing you up to date on all the news of the day, whether it's happening here in our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe. Coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station, on Free Speech TV, and worldwide on our video stream, TawkrTV. Events in the nation's capital. Hi, everybody. It's Bill Press. This year marks the 10th anniversary of doing the Bill Press Show every day, covering the news of the day with the nation's top newsmakers, either on the line or in our studio right here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Not only that, I go to the White House briefings every day to get answers to the top questions of the day. Bottom line, if it's happening in Washington, D.C., either at the White House or the Capitol, we are all over it. Every day, we welcome to our studio political leaders and reporters and labor leaders and newsmakers to help us understand the issues of the day. You know, we started out as a radio show only, but over the years, we have branched out to all forms of the new media. So today, we're not just a radio show. We are podcasting, streaming audio, streaming video, and we are simulcast live on Free Speech TV nationwide, reaching out to 40 million households on Free Speech TV, in addition to hundreds of thousands on local radio stations and online.
AFGE is so proud to be associated with this show and looks forward to being working with Bill and this show for a long time.
Bill Press is the right man at the right time with the right message.
And thanks to the Bill Press Show, we get our message out to thousands and thousands of people every day. Thank you, Bill Press.
The Teamsters are a proud partner with Bill Press on his show, telling the truth about what's going on with working families. Tune in.
Yes, it's been a fun and exciting 10 years so far for the Bill Press Show. We're looking forward to many more with all of you, broadcasting live every morning from the nation's capital.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
A few years ago, plastic bag waste in our city came to a tipping point. It was clear we had a bag problem. My department was tasked to reduce plastic bag consumption. We needed to come up with ways to change human behavior. So we asked ourselves,
would you like it back?
What do people really hate?
Yep.
Getting punched in the stomach. Preliminary studies showed that the consequences weren't severe enough to warrant behavioral change.
Actually, can I get that double bagged?
So we thought, what do people hate more than getting punched in the stomach? Kissing Helga.
Hey, big boy.
People didn't find her so offensive after all, so we had to get creative.
How many bags? Okay, now, pour this ice water down your pants.
We tried everything.
Eat this rat. Defuse this bomb.
Even fighting your clone. After blowing through millions of dollars of government funds on research, I came up with a brilliant idea.
Why don't we just charge 5 cents per bag?
That's a stupid idea.
Would you like it back?
Yes.
5 cents a bag.
5 cents? 5 cents? Do I still have the option of getting punched?
Honestly, I don't know how everyone else missed it.
Why don't you just get a reusable bag?
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Hey, friends, a little time out here to talk about Free Speech TV. You know what they say. You've heard me say it before. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and there's no such thing as Free Speech TV either. Well, yes, there is. I mean, it is free to you, and what a deal. What a great deal every day, 24/7. The best progressive programming you can find anywhere, with starting out with our show with Stephanie Miller and Tom Hartman and all the rest, Amy Goodman. And all of that coming out to you with the only progressive TV channel in this country that you can depend on day in and day out to bring you the news of the day and the progressive slant on the news of the day and give you a chance to express your opinions. Yes, all of that is free to you, but of course, you know, it costs to get that out, to get us out to you, for us to join you every day, and that's where we depend on your help. And again, ask for your help at this time of the year. I told you before, and it's true, we just could not do it without you. Free Speech TV gets no government money, no corporate money, no Koch brothers money. We don't charge guests to be on the show. We don't charge anybody to be on the show. We just depend entirely on you. You are part of the team, and the important part of the team that keep us together every single day. So once again, at this time of the year, whether it's your Merry Christmas gift or your Happy Hanukkah gift, or just, make a tax-free contribution at the end of the year to lower your taxes kind of gift, whatever your motive, we hope it's just because you love all of us and you love this programming, and when you want to help it keep going. As a little incentive for you to dig in and help us with this December pledge drive, we want to suggest that for $30, you will get a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. We'll send out to you. For $60, Free Speech TV calendar, pictures of all of your favorite hosts. For $120, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $240, a special charity to the Women's Bean Project, and you will get that calendar, a soup and a cornbread bundle, and 2 Bill Press Show pint glasses, a nice little package. Plus, part of that $240 will also go to Feeding America Project, the Women's Bean Project. For $360, a beautiful hand-woven Carol Press scarf. You know, I wear one, and so does President Clinton, by the way. And for $1,000, you get yourself to Washington. Carol and I will have a good time. We'll take you out to dinner. One of our favorite restaurants on the Hill, and you can come in the next morning here and meet all of our team. So please, help us as much as you can. Try to make $1,500 every day here on the Bill Press Show. Give us a call at 877-378-8669 and make your pledge, or just go online to freespeech.org, and let's keep this great partnership going. Thank you.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek.
Newtown.
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 How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad.
As a friend.
As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
355 mass shootings later in 2015, the Senate last night rejected two measures that would tighten gun regulations, saying, no. This has nothing to do about guns anymore. There's some possibility that these killers in California could have been radicalized. So we got to look at counterterrorism. We got to stop talking about guns. We got to focus on counterterrorism. And we just got to continue like it's business as usual in Washington, D.C. Good morning. Welcome to the Bill Press Show for this December 4th, 2015. I'm Igor Volsky of Think Progress, filling in for Bill Press, capping off what has really been a crazy, crazy week for me, for the nation, as we live through what in many respects has really become the new normal. We've had more mass shootings this year than we've had days this year. That's just where we stand. We're coming up on the anniversary of Sandy Hook, December 14th, when 26 children were gunned down, and we thought that maybe then we'll get some kind of sensible legislation expanding background checks to some commercial purchases, maybe limit the kind of weapons these killers can take into schools and retirement communities and places of worship and gun people down. And we came close, but we didn't get there. And so here we are, 355 mass shootings later, 14 people dead here. And we're wondering, why has there been no change? Because if you look at what's going on in this country, Democrats, Republicans, independents, gun owners, NRA members overwhelmingly support background checks. Overwhelmingly, 80%, 90%. You can't get two people to agree where to get coffee, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. But almost everyone says, let's make sure that people who are felons, who have some mental incapacities, let's make sure they shouldn't have guns. Let's do that. But you have more than 50 senators in the United States Senate who say no. So what's going on? Why are they bucking their constituents? Are they bucking the American people? Are they undermining the safety that we all hold so dear, that of our families? We'll get into that this hour and throughout the show. I'm, of course, joined here by the wonderful Bill Press Show team, which I should have introduced probably at the top of this rant, but
It's that kind of show.
It's that kind of show because it's frustrating. You get to a point where you look at all of these responses that come in after a mass shooting from the news media, from lawmakers, and it's like everybody's following a script. It's like everybody knows what everybody's going to say. We're going to talk about it on TV for 2 days. Then the cameras are going to go away. We're going to move on. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, a week later, we're going to have another mass shooting, and we're going to do it all over again. It's like we're all in a big major play, a major production. We all play our parts. We all know what we're going to do, but nothing ever changes. Nothing ever changes. Ever. And it has to stop. It really does. And if I see one more lawmaker who opposes gun reform tweet their freaking thoughts and prayers and do nothing else, I'm just going to lose it. I really, really am. All right, Jamie Benson, by the way, running our board.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ray Rogers taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS. If you want to be part of the program, please do share your feelings on this day, your reactions to the news, some of the great energy we've seen around this idea that thoughts and prayers are fine. And I think and pray about the victims and the first responders and everybody who's involved in this tragedy and the family members who are impacted. But thoughts and prayers aren't enough. I don't just want to think and pray. I also want to do something. And I'm outraged at the fact that there are organizations in this country, legal organizations, legal lobby groups, who spend millions of dollars paying off politicians to ensure that the only thing they do about gun violence is think and pray about it and nothing else. I'm outraged. I've had enough. I've had enough at the fact that in 2014, the National Rifle Association, the biggest gun lobby in America, spent $30 million in independent expenditures to elect the candidates who only think and pray about gun violence. And because they got a few $1,000s, they ain't doing anything else. And it doesn't matter if their constituents want expanded background checks. It doesn't matter if it's better for the country. It doesn't matter. The pressure, the political power, they're bought off on this issue. It's plain and simple. Cyprian Bolding running our video cameras here at youtube.com/Talker, TawkrTV is how you can watch us on YouTube. We're, of course, on the iHeart Radio app, the TuneIn app, and on your favorite progressive radio station, 866-55-PRESS, if you want to be part of the program. And I'll tell you what happened. You know, I've been covering these mass shootings for a long time. The first one where I really kind of led the coverage for Think Progress was the Newtown shooting in December of 2012, when we saw 26 children die. And there was a real belief, you know, that finally lawmakers are going to wake up, the NRA is going to be shamed, and we're going to ensure that if you buy a gun at a gun show or online, that you're going to have to pass a background check to make sure that you don't have a criminal record, a felony, to make sure that you don't have some kind of mental instability, and that you can, in fact, own a gun, and that it's a lot less likely that you will use that gun to kill innocent people. Well, that didn't happen. And what has happened is that mass shootings have continued. The crazy rate of gun violence in this country on a daily basis that you don't see in the news continues, the highest in the world. And lawmakers who take thousands of dollars from the NRA, get on their Twitter feeds, and tweet their thoughts and prayers, the thoughts and prayers, the thoughts and prayers. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Oh, we're so sorry. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, so bad. And when I saw those coming in on my tweet deck, because I have a column for lawmakers, and the very same lawmakers who were introducing amendments earlier in the year, allowing felons to restore their gun rights back. Oh, yeah. We're tweeting their thoughts and prayers, their thoughts and prayers, their thoughts and prayers. And I said, enough is enough. And so every time I saw a lawmaker tweet their thought and prayer, I would check to see if that lawmaker opposed gun reform. And if they did, I would tweet how much they got from the NRA as a direct contribution, which was usually in the thousands, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. or as an independent expenditure, which is the money the NRA spends either for you if you're on their side or against you if they're trying to defeat you. These are like direct mailings and all the other things that outside groups do to influence an election. They did that 10 times, 15 times, 25 times, 30 times. And it really kicked off a sentiment, that stark contrast for people, of the reason why you're not voting yes on legislation that almost every American supports and almost everyone in the world supports is because you got a couple $1,000s from the NRA. It struck a chord. It struck a chord, and it gave us the sense that if we shame these folks in the aftermath of every single shooting that we're going to see inevitably, if we shame them, maybe something can change. Maybe we can break away from this new normal. If we point out that the lives of the people lost to gun violence every day in America, 33 people die because of gun violence every day in this country, is worth more, should be worth more than the couple of $1,000s you receive from the NRA. If we make that case loud and clear on social media, calling their offices, confronting them in person when we see them, then maybe something will change. Because we have the power. We're the millions of people who all agree on this issue. And when they balance between the NRA, the money of the NRA, the political influence of the NRA, and the people and their constituents, it's up to us to make sure that the balance works out in our favor. If they won't act, we have to act until we force them to take action, to agree with us. That's the only way to do this. It's up to us. 866-55-PRESS is the number. Ike from Charleston. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Hope you're getting to feeling better. I'm so mad I got tears in my eyes. Look, something's really got me baffled. The Republicans seem to love to coin the phrase that they were the law and order party, particularly when it came down to the war on drugs. They locked up millions of people. They passed stuff like 3 strikes laws. They put some people in prison for life for drugs. Why now all of a sudden are they the no laws and disorder party, and why can't they pass a 2-strike law or something similar when it comes to people that are illegally possessing guns?
Yeah.
Well,
they don't want to listen. Here's you point to the frustration. You present yourself as a law and order party. You present yourself as the great anti-terror party of our time. Yet you don't care if those same terrorists or those same criminals have easy access to guns. How is that possible? How can you present us with an anti-terror strategy, a counter-terrorism strategy against radicals, against religious fundamentalists, against whoever wants to do harm to the American people? How can that strategy not have gun safety regulations at its core? People who are motivated by radicalism, by religious extremism, should not have access to guns. Let's repeat that all together. It's really simple. And so it baffles me to see, as news trickles out, that the killers in this California shooting could have been radicalized in some way, that we now all pretend that it gives us a pass to talk about terrorism instead of gun safety. As if there's some great wall dividing the two issues, and as if terrorism has nothing to do with gun safety. Well, I got a surprise for you. Terrorism is a guns issue. If these two didn't have easy access to guns here in America, things could have turned out differently. That's just the truth. If you're motivated by conservative ideology, as we saw in the Planned Parenthood shooting on Friday, if you're motivated by possibly, we don't know yet, of course, but religious extremism, as some suspect is the case here in California, whatever you're motivated by, or if you're just crazy, you should have access to a gun. You should not have easy access to a gun, and we as a society should make it harder for you to obtain that gun, to pass a background check that takes mere minutes. Why is this even a political issue in the United States? Why are there actual parties with actual positions debating whether or not it should be easier or harder for people who shouldn't have guns to have guns? We're all Americans. We're all affected by this. A crazy person with a gun won't discriminate between killing an NRA member and a non-NRA member, a Democrat and not a Republican. They'll gun everybody down in a matter of minutes with the kind of weapons that are on the market and are legally available. And I'm so sick, by the way, we'll take a break in a second, but I'm so sick of seeing people in the news as soon as these kinds of events happen tell me that we shouldn't be inserting politics into this and talking about gun safety because we don't know what's going on, blah, 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 blah. 866-55-PRESS, by the way. So sick of that. Because you wouldn't ever expect those same people to say after a terror attack, to say after Paris, well, let's stop talking about counterterrorism measures in the wake of Paris. Let's wait a respectable amount of time, 2 days, 3 days, and 4 hours, before we can talk about counterterrorism in the United States, making sure that you don't hear that because it's ridiculous. Just as it should be ridiculous in the case of guns. If there's gun violence, a mass shooting in the United States, it's up to our lawmakers and it's up to us to talk about how we can limit that moving forward. It's our responsibility to life in this country. 866-55-PRESS. We're going to take a break and we're going to hear from you. 355 mass shootings in America. 355 this year alone.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
This is why you took a second job. While you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. While you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE today.
Hey, what do you say, friends? Let's take a little time out here to remind you again about how important it is that we get your help for Free Speech TV. And there is no better day to do it than today, because today, you know, is Giving Tuesday. Yep, this started a few years ago. It's been a huge success nationwide. So there was Black Friday and then Cyber Monday, where you spend for yourself. And then somebody said, hey, after spending all that money for myself, let's have a special day when we all give to others. And that's what today is. It's Giving Tuesday. So what better day to reach out and to help your favorite charity? And how about helping your favorite cable TV network, Free Speech TV, with me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, all the rest of the great hosts here on Free Speech TV. Coming to you live 24/7 every day with all the progressive news and commentary that you love. That's why you stay tuned. So make it a very special Giving Tuesday. Give to Free Speech TV as much as you can, as little as you can. Every single contribution is worth it. Every single pledge that you make helps keep this great partnership between us and all of you going. Remember, our goal again is $1,500 a day. That's 15 of you. If you're able to make a $100 pledge to Free Speech TV, that puts us over the top. And there's a little encouragement for you to be as generous as you can. Remember, if you can help us with just $30 or pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set. For $60, a Free Speech TV calendar. That's a new item with pictures of all of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts on it. For $120 pledge, that's $10 a month. 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses. How about that? For $240, $20 a month, a special little package for the Women's Bean Project. You get the calendar, you get a little tin of soup and some cornbread and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, one of the beautiful hand-woven scarves by my wife, Carol Press. They are each a work of art. You will love it. And if you are able to help Free Speech TV with $1,000, again, we love doing this. You make your way to Washington. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and then invite you into the studio the next morning to meet our entire team here. So let's make it a very special Giving Tuesday. Go over the top this Giving Tuesday for Free Speech TV, as well as all the rest of your favorite causes and favorite charities. The way to do so, of course, is just give us a call at 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, or you can go online and make it a Cyber Giving Tuesday at freespeech.org, freespeech.org. Giving Tuesday. Remember, this is the day to do it. This is the day to help Free Speech TV. Let's make it a great Giving Tuesday, and we thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
6 minutes after the hours, we continue here on the Bill Press Show talking about the 355th mass shooting in America this year. Jamie, what are people saying? How are people responding?
Couple comments on Twitter this morning. In fact, many comments on Twitter this morning. Keep them coming. Margaret Colvin says, Igor, Americans are becoming desensitized to the murders around them. If they don't demand a change, things stay the same. Also, comments from GF Jacobs, the NRA, most public noticeable example of corporate vulture capitalism in U.S., fully enabled by Citizens United.
Yeah, at BP Show, at Igor Volsky. Tweet us your thoughts, your comments. We want to hear from you, because the only way this is going to change is if we talk about it and then take action. Ricky from Douglasville, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Okay. As I was telling her, starting with the guy in San Bernardino, the two handguns he had, from what I understand, were legal. The 2 rifles he had, from what I'm understanding, are automatic weapons, illegal. Pipe bombs, illegal. I bought a gun 2 years ago.
Yeah, what's your point, Ricky? What's your point?
My point is that the laws are there. What other laws can be made that the criminals are going to break?
All right, Ricky, let's repeal all laws because criminals are going to break laws all the time. Good idea. I like it. The point is you shore up the safety net. You make sure people don't get... Some people will get guns, but you prevent more people from getting guns. 28 minutes after the hour. I'll be back after this.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Neighbors, a little word about Free Speech TV. You know, it's that time of year, our December pledge drive, very, very important before the end of the year. Your last chance to get a tax deduction for making a charitable contribution to our nonprofit Free Speech TV, and hope you take advantage of that. Come on, how much do you love us? Show me today. Let's make that $1,500 goal that we've got today. At least 15 of you with a pledge of $100 will put us over the top. And you know, I got to tell you, we've been doing this now for a couple of years now. It's the same with every pledge drive. I always start out really nice, we love you, you love us, show us how much you love us, give us a contribution, help keep Free Speech TV on the air. And you know what? It never works. Same thing, we're off to a slow start again. It seems like the only way that we can get you guys to respond is to get a little testy here. I mean, come on, people, damn it. Show us how much you love us. Look, remember, Free Speech TV is built on this whole principle. It's something never seen before in the American media, okay? I mean, people who founded Free Speech TV figured, okay, if it's really true that you don't like the corporate media, and none of us do, all right, then we'll do something different, right? We won't take any government money, won't take any corporate money, won't take any Koch brothers money. And if you really like that, you will respond by digging in and keeping free speech on the air. So this is something, again, totally new, totally independent, and that's why we can be as progressive as we are 24/7, all of us on Free Speech TV. So you either like that plan, you like that principle, you like that approach, or you don't. And if you do, again, please show it by digging in and making as big a pledge as you can to keep free speech going, keep it on the air. It is so important. We depend entirely on you, and we'll help you with a little prompt, maybe, to make that pledge today. If you can help us with just $30 a year, we'll give you send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60 a year, this is $5 a month, a Free Speech TV calendar, pictures of all your favorite hosts on it, $120 pledge, $10 a month, a Bill Press Show, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $240, something very special, a little bundle put together by the Women's Bean Project, including a contribution to the Bean Project, can of soup and a little bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a great, great gift for yourself or someone you love, a hand-woven scarf by my wife, Carol Press. And again, for $1,000, the big prize, you get yourself to Washington, you and a guest, Carol and I will take you out to dinner at our treat, and we'll bring you into studio to meet the whole team the next morning. Please help as much as you can. We really, really need it. And do it today. Take advantage of this end-of-the-year opportunity to get your taxes down a little bit by helping Free Speech TV. You know how to do it? Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org. Make your pledge today as generously as you can, and thank you.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, Talker TV on YouTube is where you can watch us. We're also on DirecTV and Dish TV, so please tune in and join the movement of shaming lawmakers for taking cold, hard NRA cash and turning that into no votes on background checks, on closing the gap that allows people who are suspected terrorists to pass background checks and buy guns. I'm not even making this up. We shame them, we call them out, and we put an end to it. That's how it's going to work. That's how it has to work. That's how so many great social justice movements, criminal justice reform happens in this country. Enough is enough. 301 is too many. 355 in 2015? Well, that's absolute craziness. Here's Josh Earnest, White House press secretary, doing his part for calling out politicians for towing the NRA agenda.
Actually, I do understand why it's controversial. And it's simply because we've got too many members of Congress that are terrified of the NRA. Well, right now, there are a lot of people across this country that are terrified of a mass shooting.
So they're terrified of the NRA. But these same lawmakers who often talk about how much they value life and how they're also pro-life aren't terrified of the deaths that result from guns in this country every single day. That's just the reality. In fact, I don't know if you saw this, but there's a bill out in Missouri that a state lawmaker is going to introduce that would require gun buyers to go through the same process as a woman who wants to have an abortion does before purchasing that gun. So there's a 72-hour waiting period, and you have to consult with a professional who will tell you about all the risks. Oh, yeah. It's pretty clever. That's real pro-life. That's real pro-life right there. Tom from Boston. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Igor. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, sir.
Go Pats.
Go Pats.
I can sum up in 7 words why the GOP won't pass any gun laws.
All right, I'm counting. Go.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. Isn't that sad?
It is sad. That's the way it's always been, and I don't see that changing either, Igor.
I know. I mean, look. I've been. People have asked me this the last couple of days after these tweets took off. As to what end? Will this change? Will something be different? Will we have a mass shooting that's so horrific that people are going to say, enough is enough? But I have to be optimistic. I have to believe that there's a level of violence, that there's a certain emotional reaction that Americans get every time they turn on their TV and see this kind of death and feel the disgust and the vile kind of just rising in their throats, in their hearts, and in their souls. Even for the people who take that NRA money and then vote for their agenda. There has to be a breaking point. There has to be a tipping point, right? I mean, we're human. Ultimately, we have to be recoiled by this and say enough is enough. It has to change. We have to believe it has to change. If not, we're all, what are we doing any of this for? Mike from Kansas City. Good morning.
Good morning, Igor. Your passion is inspirational. I called my senators, both the Democratic and Republican, the other day, and we have to go beyond just being active. We have to hold them accountable.
Yes.
And I said, we can hold you accountable. If you don't take action, you're as guilty of committing those murders as if you had been standing there putting the weapon in their hands. They're conspirators. And I said, I would even go as far to say anyone who is a member of the NRA should be ashamed that they're providing funds to an organization that is a conspirator in these acts of murder against vets, mothers, fathers, children. This doesn't happen in Australia and Canada. How do they explain that to the American people?
Thank you, Mike. And in Australia and in Canada, you have crazy people. You have all kinds of motivations for all kinds of things, but they don't see those same rates of violence. Yeah, you see big shootings, absolutely, what we saw in Paris, for instance, but you don't see the day-to-day violence, the day-to-day gun violence of 33 people killed by guns every single day anywhere else on the planet. Yes, in that we are exceptional. Absolutely. So thank you, Mike. Call those senators, tweet your senators, confront them with this, shame them with this, tell them enough is enough. And for the NRA members, I mean, you guys really got to step up. Ball's in your court here. I mean, if majorities of you believe that your organization, the organization that you send that check to, is wrong on key issues like background checks, do something about it. Hold them accountable. Build a campaign. Act. Because ultimately what's happening is the bad guy with a gun is giving the good guy with a gun, the hunter, a bad name. Why are you letting this? It's unbelievable to me. Why are you letting this organization speak for you if you disagree with it? And why don't you stand up for legal and appropriate gun ownership in this country and loudly and vocally say that's what we want more of. That's what we want to preserve, those traditions. If that's what you believe, if that's what you're in this for, then stand up for it and make sure that the wrong people don't get the guns. It's that simple. 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. I'm at Igor Volsky on Twitter and also at BP Show. Tweet us your thoughts, your comments. Let's shame these guys. Jason from D.C., good morning.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I always find it interesting when people have discussions like this. I would like for you to define what's the parameter of the type of guns that you think an American citizen should be able to own.
Jason, listen. I know there's legislation out there that clearly defines what an assault weapon that shoots out an enormous number of bullets with big magazines looks like, and why those weapons should not be allowed in regular public use, because you don't need those weapons for your hunting hobby or for whatever else you legally use your guns for. And those kinds of weapons and those kinds of bullets kill tens and tens of people within minutes. So those are the kinds of weapons I would want to see off the streets of America. Wouldn't you?
No, I'd like to know what type of handguns are we talking about? Because remember, the rifles only represent less than 3% of any of these incidences in terms of overall deaths. Now, of course, the number of people killed by guns, the vast majority of them commit suicide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that number's thrown in there.
And that's okay with you. That's okay.
But actually
making sure. Oh, hold up. No, it's suicide. Oh, it's suicide. It's okay. Let him have the guns. Let him have access to guns. Hey, listen. Do you know people who've lost people to suicide? Because I do. And that comment that, oh, it's just suicide. It's okay. It's just suicide. It's not mass murder. Get off the phone, Jason. It's ridiculous. Hey, Jamie, it's just suicide, dude. It's okay. It's totally cool. I mean, it's just a gun for suicide. It's cool. It's their choice, whatever.
Apparently, it's the new normal.
It's just suicide. It's okay.
A couple of other comments on Twitter this morning. Sarah Drake says, if 21 6-year-olds gunned down in their classroom isn't vile enough to move Americans to action, not sure what will.
You know, I'll have to say this. Look, we've faced so many obstacles as a nation. We really, really have. I mean, you look at the African-American struggle for equal rights in this country, the gay and lesbian struggle. The list goes on, really. Those obstacles seemed so insurmountable at the time to me. There was such great opposition. The country was so divided, yet here we are in a much better place. So I just find it hard to believe that on an issue where there's so much agreement, where there's so much consensus, that we can't get this done. We've accomplished so many great things as Americans that for us to say that on an issue where the overwhelming majority of people agree that we just can't make this happen because of one, main organization called the National Rifle Association and other gun lobby groups are sending money to lawmakers, that's the great big obstacle boogeyman in the room that is preventing any kind of change. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me. I mean, I really do believe, particularly because this issue, the guns issue, is now part of the Democratic debate, part of the presidential campaign, that we're going to see some change soon. We really, really are. It's in the mainstream. It's hitting a consciousness in Americans. Just the response I saw to my tweets shaming these people. The American people are there. And they're going to take the NRA down. 44 minutes after they are. I'm going to take a quick break. But we'll be back with more here on the Bill Press Show. Stay with us.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Neighbors, a little word about Free Speech TV. You know, it's that time of year. Our December pledge drive, very, very important before the end of the year. Your last chance to get a tax deduction for making a charitable contribution to our nonprofit Free Speech TV, and hope you take advantage of that. Come on, how much do you love us? Show me. Show me today. Let's make that $1,500 goal that we've got today. At least 15 of you with a pledge of $100 will put us over the top. And, you know, I got to tell you, we've been doing this now for a couple of years now. It's the same with every pledge drive. I always start out really nice, you know, we love you, you love us, show us how much you love us, give us a contribution, help keep Free Speech TV on the air. And you know what? It never works. Same thing, we're off to a slow start again. It seems like the only way that we can get you guys to respond is to get a little testy here. I mean, come on, people, damn it. Show us how much you love us. Look, remember, Free Speech TV is built on this whole principle. It's something never seen before in the American media, okay? I mean, people who founded Free Speech TV figured, okay, if it's really true that you don't like the corporate media, and none of us do, all right, then we'll do something different, right? We won't take any government money, won't take any corporate money, won't take any Koch brothers money. And if you really like that, you will respond by digging in and keeping free speech on the air. So this is something, again, totally new, totally independent, and that's why we can be as progressive as we are 24/7, all of us on Free Speech TV. So you either like that plan, you like that principle, you like that approach, or you don't. And if you do, again, please show it by digging in and making as big a pledge as you can to keep free speech going, keep it on the air. It is so important. We depend entirely on you, and we'll help you with a little prompt, maybe, to make that pledge today. If you can help us with just $30 a year, we'll give you send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60 a year, this is $5 a month. A Free Speech TV calendar, pictures of all your favorite hosts on it. $120 pledge, $10 a month. A Bill Press Show, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $240, something very special, a little bundle put together by the Women's Bean Project, including a contribution to the Bean Project, can of soup and a little bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a great, great gift for yourself or someone you love, a hand-woven scarf by my wife, Carol Press. And again, for $1,000, the big prize, you get yourself to Washington, you and a guest, Carol and I will take you out to dinner at our treat, and we'll bring you into studio to meet the whole team the next morning. Please help as much as you can. We really, really need it. And do it today. Take advantage of this end-of-the-year opportunity to get your taxes down a little bit by helping Free Speech TV. You know how to do it? Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org. Make your pledge today as generously as you can, and thank you.
Here for Bill Press as we reflect on the 2 days that we've lived through in the aftermath of yet another mass shooting in America. And I have to say, I've watched and monitored the media coverage on this very, very closely. And I was heartened to see that initially we did have a conversation of sorts about gun safety in the first day. You had Democrats tweeting that gun violence needs to stop and that we need to do something about it. And, you know, I went on some television programs to discuss the fact that guns are readily available. And, well, maybe that's not such a good idea. But as soon as we got tinglings that this shooting could be motivated by radical extremism, that entire conversation went away. Oh, it just died. It just stopped. It was just put on mute. Because apparently, if you're motivated by radical ideology of one type or another, it's okay for you to have easy access to guns because we only have to deal with the ideology part somehow and not with the idea that you can act on that ideology by using the gun that is easily available to you online or at a gun show or through a private purchaser. Apparently, that's just the divide we have. If it's a terror issue, we bring in the terror experts. If it's a gun issue, we have a debate between a Second Amendment loving person and a liberal gun control freak. Those are apparently the conversations we can have in this country. And what's even more appalling to me is you had Republican presidential candidates within hours of this tragedy blaming Democrats and liberals and progressives for inserting gun safety into the conversation, and again saying it's too soon. We have to wait 5 days, 3 hours, and 2 minutes before we discuss this and whether or not gun regulations could have prevented it. It's not respectful. It's politicizing the situation. But notice how the conversation changed immediately after it became clear that maybe there's some radical undertones here. Immediately after that, all the same Republicans who were just telling you that it's so disrespectful to talk about policy prescriptions in the aftermath of tragedy were tripping over themselves to give you policy recommendations for how they're going to fight domestic terrorism in America. They're going to control the mosques. They're going to step up the fight in Syria. They're going to keep all the refugees out. They're going to seal our borders. They're going to make sure that intelligence agencies have all the tools they need to keep tabs on terror suspects. They have a plan. It's in 3 pages. Read it on their website. So you act on terror, you can't act on guns. That's what we're hearing. Tim from Bristol, Vermont. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Tim.
Good. I'm proposing a 10-round limit for any weapon.
All right.
And they must be kept in an armory.
Okay.
Because, the Second Amendment says to keep and maintain a militia, which is what armories were built for.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're taking the very literal interpretation and saying, hey, guys, if you really believe the Second Amendment or taking it as Bible, then take it at its word, right?
Exactly.
All right, thank you. We'll take that proposal under consideration. Maybe we'll see an amendment or two. By the way, the Senate yesterday passed a bill. Finally, by the way, we don't have time for this, but they finally passed a bill repealing Obamacare. It's something they've been trying to do since 2010. Jamie, I don't know if you have the applause button that's easily accessible that we can just give them their due. They've spent 5 years trying to pass this in the Senate. They're finally going to repeal Obamacare. It's going to make it through both chambers. It was a big moment for them, long time coming, and there it is. Of course, it's going to be vetoed by the president, but they can all go home to their constituents and get that round of applause from their supporters that after millions of Americans got health care, they have voted to take it away. But connected to that measure were amendments that Democrats introduced that would have expanded background checks through the Toomey Manchin legislation. You'll remember that the Senate rejected in the aftermath of the Newtown shooting. That failed 50-48. And we also saw the failure of an amendment that would ensure that individuals who are on the consolidated terror watch list have to undergo a background check when purchasing a gun. Not that they would be denied guns, but they would have to pass a background check to ensure they can have one. And that was too much for Republicans, and they said no to that as well.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, they came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on. Get off your ass and make your pledge. Damn it. And do it today. We need your help. Seriously. Look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30. A pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month for Bill Press Show pint glasses. You can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, like a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Carol Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and come on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
This is the Bill Press Show.
57 minutes after the hour of the Bill Press Show on this December 4th, 2015. Igor Volsky of Think Progress filling in for Bill Press. Hey, you know how much money Senator Wicker got? $44,000 from the NRA. He voted against the background check measure put up in the Senate yesterday. You want to hear about Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader McConnell? $992,000 the NRA dumped into his campaign. He voted against the background check bill. Let's shame these guys. Shame on you. Back in a moment here on the Bill Press Show. Stay with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is why you took a second job. While you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. While you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE today.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, it came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge, damn it. And do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30, a pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month for Bill Press Show pint glasses. You can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Cow Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and come on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669 or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Bill Press Show for this Friday, December 4th, 2015. Good morning. I'm Igor Volsky, filling in for Bill Press as we go into hour 2 of another solemn show. You know, Jamie, I've done this, I've guest hosted with you guys, I think like a dozen times, but by now.
More than that, yeah.
And I always feel like that moments like this, I've had to do shows about gun violence, gun massacres, like half the time. Half the time I come in here in the morning and I want to throw up, run to the bathroom and throw up before going on air. I mean, it's that disgusting, really.
You know, people may not believe it, but we want to be able to do good news on this program.
Yeah.
And lately, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, we've been blowing through our full court press, some of the kind of funny, more lighthearted stories we do, because you're in no mood to laugh. You're in no mood to celebrate. You're in no mood to have a good time. You're just like in a rut, in like a really painful, ugly, gross rut. And of course, what makes it even worse is that the next such feeling, the next such episode is right around the corner. In a day, in a week, I'll be back here again at this microphone or across the table talking to Bill, and we're going to be going through the same fact pattern. I'm going to be screaming out the same things. But hopefully something will change one day. And I have to tell you, if anyone represents the kind of optimism for the future that change is possible, the kind of inspiration that has inspired me personally, it's Sarah Clemens. She's the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, and she joins us now here in our Bill Press studios. Sarah, good morning to you.
Good morning, Igor.
Thank you so much for being with us. And I have to tell you, and I want you to tell our audience some of your backstory of how you got involved in gun violence prevention, because for me, your personal story and that of your mom has been an inspiration throughout, and really something that has powered me in some way to do some of the violence prevention work that I've been involved in. So let's just begin with telling our audience why this is so personal to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those kind words. We're coming up pretty soon on the 3rd anniversary of the shooting at Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut, which is where I'm from. My mom survived the shooting at Sandy Hook on December 14, 2012. She was a second grade teacher there for many years. And on that day, 3 years ago, her class was making holiday crafts, decorations for her classroom. And across the hall in the auditorium, they were, setting up for the annual, holiday chorus concerts, folding chairs, putting them up and everything. And all of a sudden, my mom heard these loud bangs. And at first, her first thought was, oh, it must be folding chairs across the hall falling, because that was how loud it was. And when she saw a janitor sprint by towards the front of the school, she realized actually what was happening, because he would have been the one setting those up. She realized that a gunman had come in, and she just sort of went into survival mode and pulled 2 kids that were in the hallway into her classroom and huddled with her kids in the coat closet area, while 20 first graders and 6 of her colleagues were killed down the hall from her. We are grateful beyond grateful every day that my mother survived, but that day changed our lives forever. The trauma, the PTSD, the anxieties never go away. You can, go to therapy, and there's an amazing community of survivors and advocates on this issue that are really, really close to each other, and really supportive when shootings, happen every single day. But it'll be with us for the rest of our lives.
Sarah Clemens, co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, by the way, on Twitter at SFClem, SFCLEM on Twitter, and of course our number 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377 if you want to talk to Sarah. Talk to me about what it's like having lived through that. When you turn on the news and you see, we all know the way coverage of these events begins. There's been a shooting, there's an active shooter, we don't know anything yet, the number of dead starts trickling in. How do you react to that?
This is one of the most common questions that I get. Unfortunately, there are so many instances where I'm asked it. Especially for somebody who's been so closely impacted by gun violence, I think at first it's usually a sense of like shock and numbness. You don't really, I register that it's happened again and that yet another community and more lives have just entered into a hell on earth. And, I know that experience. I know what that feels like to not know if your loved one is alive or not in that moment. And so I think at first it's just a sense of shock. And then it's just, for me, completely disorienting. My anxieties come back. My body just reacts out of my control. Sometimes I'll have anxiety attacks or blinding headaches, things like that. I tend to, like I said before, reach out to a lot of other survivors and advocates who help me move along my process of dealing with the fact that it's happened again.
But you've been able to, in a really remarkable way, to take this experience and turn it into something so proactive and so inspiring. Of course, you're the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, and you've been doing remarkable work in this space. Talk about some of the things that really drive you to stay in this issue area where you're confronted with, memories of what you went through, and with just that death every day. Yeah. What drives you to continue coming back to it?
The mass shootings are increasing. The rate of mass shootings are increasing every day, but 32 Americans die from gun violence every single day. So it's just an ongoing, it's continuation of this tragedy. And for me, the thing that motivates me is my mom's story, and knowing that if she could have had the strength that she had to go through that and continue to go back to work every day and advocate for change all at the same time, then I can speak out and tell her story. But I think it's also, I believe that we can make change. I've seen in the last 3 years that we have made small steps, and it's not nearly what we need to be at, and it's despicable, and we feel betrayed, honestly, especially time and time again that this continues to happen. And then, you see yesterday the Senate votes again on background checks, and they actually have less yes votes for it than they did in 2013 after Sandy Hook. So it's a continuing betrayal from our elected officials. But the thing that keeps me going is knowing deep down that we can do this. I truly, truly believe that. I think that there is hope, and it's hard for me to find it after every shooting. It takes me a little while, but I always find those moments of hope. I do believe it can happen.
The other dynamic that's troubling during shootings like this is that most of the media coverage focuses on the assailants, on the murderers, and what drove them and motivated them. And that's important to understand. But we also have to spend time discussing the victims, the lives of those victims, and really humanizing them. Because that's part of the effort here in getting something done, is telling lawmakers, telling the 2% of Americans who are against it, that these are human beings who are being gunned down. These are your friends. These are your neighbors. Yes. These are families with children who've lost their parents. Talk about some of the people here who perished in this latest attack.
Yeah, they starting last night and into today, authorities have begun releasing information about those who were killed and those who survived the shooting in San Bernardino. And before I was on, I was reading through some of their stories, and I'm glad, like you said, that some of these news outlets are focusing more on the victims' stories, because I think it's so easy to repeat these statistics over and over again, but we have to pause and remember every time those 32 people every day that are killed by gun violence in America are, like you said, our family members and our friends. And
they're not just numbers.
Exactly. They're not just numbers. And, there's such a ripple effect of how many people with one person killed by gun violence are affected by that tragedy, whether it's family, friends, extended family, teachers of that person. It goes on and on.
And as you point out, as your experience shows, people who didn't lose family in a mass shooting are forever, your mother, you,
absolutely,
other members of your family, forever. Affected by
doctors, law enforcement who have to, be on scene, who see little kids murdered by assault weapons, by 11 bullets riddled into their bodies. How do you come back from that? How do you come back from that moment? You can't. But I just would like to say a couple of their stories from San Bernardino that really, reminded me of 1214 and what I've gone through. One of which was a woman who actually thankfully survived, but it mentioned that she had sent a text when she was shot to her family that just said, "Love you guys, was shot." And, I just paused because I thought of how important for me my cell phone was that day to know whether my mother was alive or not, and how many people have had to send those texts, how many family members have had to receive, text messages from family members that said what were their last words when they were shot, or maybe not last words too, but how can you receive a text like that? It's unconscionable. And the second story was a man who was killed, and he had just that morning sent a package of Christmas presents to his family members. And, that just reminded me immediately of the fact that we are upon the holiday season. And, we just had Thanksgiving, and my Facebook feed was filled with survivors and advocates who have lost family members who had an empty seat at the table on Thanksgiving. And, it just reminds me that this season isn't happy for everyone. And there are just thousands of Americans and American families this year during Christmas or during Hanukkah or whatever who won't be able to give presents to their loved ones because of, the ongoing gun violence in our country.
866-557-7377 if you want to talk to Sarah. We're also, of course, on Twitter at BP Show. And Sarah Clemens, co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, can be reached at SFCLEM, SFCLEM. You, of course, and some of the anti-gun violence groups that you work with and partner with do a lot of work on the Hill and talk to lawmakers who voted against this background check measure and other such measures. Quickly, what are some of their reactions? What are the reasons that they give survivors for why they won't support regulations?
In 2013 especially, I came down to D.C. a few times to speak with lawmakers on the Hill about background check expansion. When the Manchin-Toomey bill failed in 2013, it was fairly shocking to most people, to journalists, to, people who are into politics, because it was only the first step. There was actually a full list of other measures that were looking to be passed, whether it's bans of high-capacity magazines, waiting periods for buying guns, limits to one gun purchase a month, things like that. And background checks didn't even get passed. And everybody was like, we need to take 10 steps back right now. And their arguments are just, I've sat across the table from staffers and from elected officials who have looked survivors and family members of victims in the eyes across the table and said, I can't vote for this legislation, and basically implying that their money from the NRA is more important to them than the lives of the family members of people across the table from them. Their arguments are that, background check expansion would lead to gun registries, which is just blatantly false. In Manchin-Toomey, there's a provision that says a national registry of gun ownership cannot be created from this legislation.
Says it clearly. Even though that's already prohibited in the law.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just completely, they just pull any argument they can from the air just to say something, because I don't understand how else they could sit across from survivors and say, I can't do this.
866-557-7377. We're going to take a break, Sarah, but we'll be back. Sarah Clemens, she's the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence. I'm Igor Volsky, sitting in for Bill Press. Stay with us.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Neighbors, a little word about Free Speech TV. You know, it's that time of year, our December pledge drive, very, very important before the end of the year. Your last chance to get a tax deduction for making a charitable contribution to our nonprofit Free Speech TV, and hope you take advantage of that. Come on, how much do you love us? Show me today. Let's make that $1,500 goal that we've got today. At least 15 of you with a pledge of $100 will put us over the top. And you know, I got to tell you, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. It's the same with every pledge drive. I always start out really nice, you know, we love you, you love us, show us how much you love us, give us a contribution, help keep Free Speech TV on the air. And you know what? It never works. Same thing, we're off to a slow start again. It seems like the only way that we can get you guys to respond is to get a little testy here. I mean, come on, people, damn it. Show us how much you love us. Look, remember, Free Speech TV is built on this whole principle. It's something never seen before in the American media, okay? I mean, people who founded Free Speech TV figured, okay, if it's really true that you don't like the corporate media, and none of us do, all right, then we'll do something different, right? We won't take any government money, won't take any corporate money, won't take any Koch brothers money. And if you really like that, you will respond by digging in and keeping free speech on the air. So this is something, again, totally new, totally independent, and that's why we can be as progressive as we are 24/7, all of us on Free Speech TV. So you either like that plan, you like that principle, you like that approach, or you don't. And if you do, again, please show it by digging in and making as big a pledge as you can to keep free speech going, keep it on the air. It is so important. We depend entirely on you, and we'll help you with a little prompt, maybe, to make that pledge today. If you can help us with just $30 a year, we'll give you send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60 a year, this is $5 a month. A Free Speech TV calendar, pictures of all your favorite hosts on it. $120 pledge, $10 a month. A Bill Press Show, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $240, something very special, a little bundle put together by the Women's Bean Project, including a contribution to the Bean Project, can of soup, and a little bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a great, great gift for yourself or someone you love, a hand-woven scarf by my wife, Carol Press. And again, for $1,000, the big prize, you get yourself to Washington, you and a guest, Carol and I will take you out to dinner at our treat, and we'll bring you in the studio to meet the whole team the next morning. Please help as much as you can. We really, really need it. And do it today. Take advantage of this end-of-the-year opportunity to get your taxes down a little bit by helping Free Speech TV. You know how to do it. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org. Make your pledge today as generously as you can, and thank you.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour of the Bill Press Show, we continue with Sarah Clemens. She's the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, talking about what can be done, humanizing the victims, because they're your families, They're your friends, they're your neighbors. These are real people who are impacted by our continued inaction. Anita from San Antonio joins us now. Good morning, Anita.
Good morning. I'm so sorry about what happened to your mother at Sandy Hook. What happened there just still to this day affects me. I'm sure, not like it affects you, but I still think about it, and it changed me that day. That day changed me. I have a friend who bought a gun, and within hours, she killed herself with that gun. And I have another friend whose 5-year-old found a gun at a party, a loaded gun in a drawer, and shot his 2-year-old brother. And I just wonder how many Americans are going to be directly affected by gun violence before we do something about this.
Yeah, thanks, Anita. And Sarah, this is really an element of this conversation we don't hear a lot about, that most of the guns are used in suicide.
Absolutely. And I think, it all goes back to access to firearms. I'm so sorry, Anita, about your friends and your loved ones. There are so many, unfortunately, types of gun violence that we see in our homes and in our communities. And like you said, the vast majority of gun violence deaths in this country are actually by suicide. And we see, if you look at the numbers, actually 90% of suicide attempts with firearms are successful, as compared to, other forms of suicide attempts, drug overdoses, things like that, are actually 30 to 40%. If you take away the access to that firearm, we would save so many lives. It's just so upsetting.
Sarah Clemens, co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, she's going to stay with us, and I want to hear from you. 866-557-7377, at BP Short on Twitter, at Igor Volsky. Let's stop the guns.
This is the Bill Press Show.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, it came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge, damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30, a pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses you can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Carol Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and go on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
We've had far too many moments of silence on the floor of the House. And while it is right to respectfully acknowledge the losses, we can no longer remain silent.
This is the Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour of the Bill Press Show, that was Nancy Pelosi reminding lawmakers that you gotta do more than think and pray. You actually have to take action. It's a point I tried to make on Twitter in the moments after it became clear that we were facing the 355th mass shooting in America this year alone. And it created a backlash of sorts, with some people asking why I was mocking lawmakers who were thinking and praying, and arguing that I'm religious shaming or prayer shaming certain people, that in fact thoughts and prayers can be powerful and healing for victims and first responders during moments like this. I'm still here, of course, with Sarah Clemens. She's the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, as we come to you from our studios in Washington, D.C. But joining us now on the phone is Jack Jenkins. He's the senior religion reporter over at Think Progress, and he wrote a piece taking apart some of these claims that if you call out people who think and pray and do nothing else, if you publicly shame them, that you're somehow calling out, or that you're somehow belittling their efforts or belittling their religion. Jack, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
What's your take on this dynamic that we saw, some of the vitriol that we experienced for simply pointing out that why don't you combine these thoughts and these prayers that you're doing with real action?
Right. I mean, it's important to acknowledge up front that there were definitely parts of the Twitter sphere that, turned that into just attacking religious people. But the main critique is saying that calling someone out for saying that they're going to pray about a situation or giving their thoughts to it and not making good on it isn't an anti-religious argument. That is, in fact, an argument that religious people have been making for literally thousands of years.
Yeah, get into that this is rooted in religion.
Yeah, it's one of those things where in some ways it's an old religious debate. So, the idea, prayer has a lot of different definitions throughout different religious traditions. And, it can mean different things to different people. But generally speaking, you go back to a lot of religious texts, you're going to find examples of, faith leaders or prophets being very clear about the idea that faith should be paired with action, that your faith is something that you live out. So, for instance, a lot of the folks who were very upset from the Christian right, who said that your tweets and other tweets that were calling out lawmakers for thoughts and prayers was somehow prayer shaming. But you don't have to look very deep into the Bible, into the New Testament, to find Jesus Christ making the same claim. In Matthew 23, Jesus Christ called out the Pharisees for saying that they do not practice what they teach. He said, the exact quote is that they tie up their heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on the shoulders of others, but they themselves are unwilling to lift a finger to move them. And that sounds a whole lot like reminding lawmakers who give their prayers to gun violence victims, but don't actually take any action to pass legislation to help them. They're laying a very heavy burden on the American people. So again, this is an old religious debate. You'll find similar things within Judaism. You'll find similar things within the Quran. You'll find similar things within the Buddhist scriptures. Prayer needs to be paired with action, and saying that is not irreligious. It's deeply religious.
Sarah, faith in action has been a big part of the gun movement for a long, long time. You have religious organizations, religious groups who play a critical role in lobbying Congress people, in inserting this conversation into the mainstream. So this idea that, as Jack points out, and as I tried to point out, that you need to pair your faith and your prayers with action to realize real change is nothing new.
Absolutely. No, this is the argument that faith leaders from Newtown and from Chicago have been saying for years. They have, come to lobby with us on the Hill time and again. For them, it's a moral issue. It's members of their own congregations who are being shot down. It affects them just as much as, like we said, teachers and parents and, doctors and things like that. They're members of our community. They're leaders in our community, and they provide that moral compass. And, time and again, we've sat down and we have faith leaders sitting at the gun violence prevention movement table every week, bringing together congregations around the country. This is, I completely agree that this is, an example of an issue that you look at, there was actually just a movie, documentary that was put out called Armor of Light, that tells the story about Jordan Davis's mother, Lucy, and this evangelical Christian pastor who, has deemed himself as pro-life for years and years and years. And after, the last couple of years, especially of rampant gun violence, he's come to realize that he himself is guilty of not speaking out enough on this issue, that he sees his own community being affected. And how can he call himself pro-life if he doesn't speak out about his own friends and family being killed on the streets? It's this amazing combination of people who, don't agree on every issue, but agree that this is a matter of life and death for real family members, real friends, in every type of community.
And Jack Jenkins, senior religion reporter at Think Progress, let me just turn back to you. There is a long religious tradition of pairing, as you point out, action and prayer together, and large religious organizations like the Pope have for a long time called for action on guns. I mean, this is a long-running streak through American religious institutions. And so for me, when I saw some of these responses and was asked in all the interviews I did, how do I respond to people who say that I'm simply prayer shaming, was pretty shocking, because it's been religious organizations that have, in some respects, been at the forefront of all this.
Right. I mean, the funny thing is, like, religious figures have said almost exactly what you said. I mean, in 2012, in the aftermath of the Newtown massacre, it was the Episcopal Bishop of Washington who said, if we only pray and offer comfort now and do not act, we are complicit in perpetuating the conditions that allow these crimes to occur. I mean, that's effectively the same argument. And as she noted earlier, this is something that faith groups have been a component and a part of for quite some time. I mean, in 2013, when there was a march on Washington, that was secular groups pairing with faith groups. There was bishops and priests and rabbis who were marching down the streets of Washington, D.C. for gun violence prevention. And part of that is because, faith leaders and faith groups have kind of been on the front lines of this, because, as she noted, these are their communities. They're the ones who have to perform the funerals. So, this is something they see every single day. I mean, gun violence has been something in, inner cities and rural areas that pastors and priests have been working with local law enforcement for decades to try to mitigate, because they have to be responsive to their own congregation.
Jack, since I'm all about calling out and shaming people on this issue now, where are these traditions coming from that say the opposite, that say, let's not take action? Who are these people who believe that the way you ameliorate and reduce daily gun violence in America, mass murders in America, is simply by praying and thinking about it?
I mean, the funny thing is the faith community, like this extends even into theological conservative communities, are crying out for gun violence prevention legislation, especially the leadership. So the voice, the religious voice, quote unquote, they're saying, no, we should wait and not pass legislation, is a relative theological minority in this context. I mean, the kind of argument you have to make to allow for violence to continue and say that, God's okay with that God doesn't want me to do anything about that is so erroneous that it gets called out by faith leaders who are otherwise, very theologically conservative all the time. I mean, we often see the expressions of this less in the faith community and more of our politicians who claim to be members of people of faith.
And that's always so shocking to me, Sarah, that you have people who claim to be guided by God and called by God to service and guided by their deep moral religious beliefs, who are against gun safety measures, who break with, if they're Catholic, with the Pope on this issue because it's politically expedient and politically convenient. And, of course, people who also say they're pro-life but aren't pro-life when it comes to gun safety issues. The hypocrisy here is really stunning, huh?
Absolutely. No, it's absolutely stunning. And I think for me, like I said before, in meetings where I've sat down with these elected officials and I say, what gives? Like, why do we have to wait? Why can't we scream and shout at the cameras after a mass shooting and call for action and call for change? If we had change before, this wouldn't have happened.
And do you use that religion card and say, your religious leaders, people from your faith community are standing here with me and making the moral case for gun safety?
Igor,
why don't you heed their call?
We have the 3rd annual vigil for all victims of gun violence happening in Washington, D.C. next week. Put on by Newtown Action Alliance and faith leaders from around the country and faith leaders here in D.C. How many elected officials do you expect to be there?
How many have there been in the past?
Usually it's pretty much the congressional delegation from Connecticut, a few elected officials from Chicago, and a couple here and there, Democrats who have supported or written gun violence prevention legislation, and that's about it.
Wow. Jack Jenkins, he's the senior religion reporter for Think Progress. Jack, thank you again for joining us on such a very short notice. I appreciate it. The Bill Press Show continues after this. I'm Igor Volsky of Think Progress. Do pipe in with your thoughts at 866-557-7377. Sarah Clemens, the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence, is going to stick with me for one more segment as we continue to explore ways to get Congress to act. Stay with us.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, they came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge, damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30, a pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month for Bill Press Show pint glasses. You can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Cow Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and come on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669 or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
48 minutes after the hour on this December 4th, 2015. I'm Igor Volsky of Think Progress, joined here in the studio by Sarah Clemens. She's the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence at SFCLEM on Twitter. And we're taking your calls about how to get Congress to act on legislation and gun prevention policies that the majority of Americans support. 866-557-7377. We start now with John from Orange County, California. Good morning, John.
Well, hi, Igor. I really appreciate the informative program and all your guests. Look, when people shoot someone who is unarmed, they are preying on the helpless, and this is the rule, not the exception. And we will never win an argument with someone who believes that the way you make people not helpless is by arming them. So the truth is that argument holds no practical water when you look at the facts, such as what the Australians passed comprehensive gun reform after the 1996 mass shooting, and the result was less crime and less suicides. And no NRA-constricted Republican will ever vote against gun regulation. So our mandate is that we have to make people aware of the voting record of the congressional Republicans and make that information blatant public knowledge. And then we need to motivate people with that information to go vote with passion in 2016 against those NRA Republicans. And calling Congress alone is great, but it won't do the job because they won't change in the next year. We have to vote out the Republicans, and one of the ways that we can spread the information is to promote progressive talk radio on smartphones as the way to get information to people instead of just hoping and praying that people get that information somehow through the ether, and we have to get active.
Thanks, John. And the Bill Press Show is on the TuneIn app and the iHeartRadio app. And, of course, you can download those apps and listen to it on your smartphone. Sarah, very quickly, what is the 30-second elevator pitch that you give people to support gun safety regulations?
You know, I think that it is that we need to start breaking down the NRA myths, like our caller said, about the good guy with a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun, that have just promoted this onslaught of loose gun legislation for years and years. It's just common sense if you compare to other countries that have had similar massacres. If you look at their immediate action and what they did, it's not about confiscation. It's not about taking away all the guns. It's about putting it down like hard regulations.
It's common sense. 866-557-7377. Mary from Colorado. Where is that, Jamie?
Ouray, Colorado.
Ouray, Colorado.
Hi.
Joins us. Good morning.
I applaud the young lady there for all of her efforts. I was a history teacher, and I kind of got interested in World War II because I'm very old. But, you know, the Germans, this has got nothing to do with the Germany today, but in those days, the Allies made the German people walk by the concentration camps and have a look at the, you know, what they saw there. And maybe we need to have a joint session of Congress and put Wayne LaPierre in the very front row and have some scenes of these massacres. They're too far removed from what actually happens in these. And if, how I wish they could just have to see the little children laying on in that massacre there.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. That's right. The humanizing aspect of it, Sarah.
Absolutely. I actually, have a friend who is a mother who lost her daughter to a terrible massacre a couple of years ago here in D.C., who has lobbied with me multiple times on the Hill. And every time she sits down with an elected official, she brings a printed out copy photo of her daughter's autopsy. And she was killed with an assault rifle, and it's not a pretty picture. It's not the one that parents usually take to elected officials to remind them of their children. And she puts it right in front of them and said, that's what gun violence looks like.
In some respects, it really is about connecting to the humanity, right? Connecting to people as humans. And that maybe breaks through some of that politics and some of the money.
Absolutely. Like we've said time and again this morning even, this is about our communities and our families. And once you've seen those photos, once you've even seen the images and the video clips of responders responding on the scene to people lying on the grounds and being treated, immediately being rushed to the hospital, this is a state of emergency in our country. Our communities are at risk. I tweeted in one of my first tweets that I sent out in my moments of shock after San Bernardino. One of the first things I tweeted was supposed to be a rhetorical question of basically, do people actually feel safe in America right now? Because I don't.
Yeah.
Anywhere I go. And I got at least probably 24 mentions in reply to that saying no. Just people saying, no, I don't. No, I don't. I'm glad I work from home.
That's a simple and clear
I fear sending
and good
my
question.
kids to school every morning.
Yeah. Sarah Clemens, she's the co-founder of Georgetown Against Gun Violence. Please follow her on Twitter at SFCLEM. Sarah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for all your work.
You too.
We'll be back right here on The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, it came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge. Damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30. A pledge for $30 will send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a free speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite free speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses you can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, like a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Cow Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and come on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669 or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
This is the Bill Press Show.
57 minutes after the hour, the Bill Press Show continues on this December 4th, 2015. We want to see change, and to see that change, we need national federal reform. So what can we do? What can Congress do? What can the president do on his own to stop the madness, the mass murders, the daily gun violence? We'll ask Mark Glaze. He's the senior advisor at Purpose Network and a gun safety advocate about the legislative changes we need to see, we need to push for in this country to get to a more sane, safer place. So that when Sarah asks that question, do you feel safe in America? All of us can say yes. Stay with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm a Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas, too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. I'm not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself, blood pressure, or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, they'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or whatever. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
Just this month, my bill was like $138.
Even at one phone call a week cost me $40 to $50 every month.
I am living on a fixed income of SSI, so this is really a great hardship. Families are being punished. When they incarcerate your children, they incarcerate the whole family.
In 2011, the Media Action Grassroots Network, Working Narratives, and Prison Legal News founded the Campaign for Prison Phone Justice, an effort to call on the FCC to address the cost of interstate phone calls. The campaign mobilized prisoners to send hundreds of letters. Advocates and families filled out postcards, met with elected officials, and signed petitions. Partnerships were formed across the political spectrum and with groups in the criminal justice, civil rights, and public interest community. The film distribution company Participant Media and director Ava DuVernay joined the fight through a social action campaign tied to the release of the feature film Middle of Nowhere. In an effort to push the FCC to act, the campaign hosted a historic rally outside of the Federal Communications Commission where for the first time, families of prisoners, elected officials, civil rights and faith leaders came together to call for an end to predatory phone rates.
We're all held captive when predatory phone companies gouge our families.
My son has been incarcerated now for over 10 years, and my husband estimates that in the time we spent over $25,000 on prison phone calls.
My hero's not yours, you probably arrested them. Your schools probably neglected them. They spawn thoughts, you probably infected them. Feed us what you feed us, you can lay us next to them. FBI call it major crimes. Babies making babies cry.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Every time we have a mass shooting in this country, and we've had 355 in 2015 alone, The issues of gun safety and gun regulations always trickle down to the presidential race, and the shooting in California on Wednesday was no different. Here's Hillary Clinton, who moments after the shooting, or within hours of some of the details being released, reiterated her support for gun safety regulations and going beyond what the president did, using executive action if Congress won't act. Yesterday in Manchester, New Hampshire, she reiterated her support for making sure that we use law and that we use changes in the way guns are available to reduce gun violence in America.
The vast majority of Americans support common sense steps to reduce and prevent gun violence.
Mark Glaze is a senior advisor at Purpose Network and a gun control safety advocate. He's also a advisor, would you say, to the Hillary Clinton campaign. He's on Twitter at Mark C. Glaze. He joins us now in our DC studios. Mark, good morning.
Hey, Igor.
We've been talking about this tragedy the entire show, and I think the big question that our callers have and our listeners have is, well, what can we do? Because Congress isn't doing anything. I mean, just yesterday, you had two different amendments attached to their big Obamacare repeal bill. Both failed. One was to ensure that suspected terrorists undergo a background check when they purchase guns. That failed 54-45. The other one was that bipartisan background check bill that we saw after Newtown. It was also offered, and it failed in a 50-48 vote.
Right.
So the president, the LA Times is reporting this morning, is looking into building on the executive action he took in the aftermath of Newtown to see how he can tighten regulations. Hillary Clinton has said that she can go beyond what he has done. Talk about some of those changes that Obama can take on his own, or that the next president, or at least the Democratic candidate, promises to take.
Right. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's a bad time, but a good time to be talking about these issues, because now, after a mass shooting, tends to be the time when there is some momentum for change, at least among the public, not yet among sort of the chattering class in Washington, D.C. One of the things that Hillary Clinton has proposed, as you say, is sort of expanding the way the government regulates guns on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
You know, frankly, the president is right when he says, look, I can't do this alone. In the end, Congress and state legislatures have to help me make this happen. One thing that the president can do, and I hope he does it, it's something that Hillary is promoting pretty aggressively as part of her platform, is defining who is in the business of selling guns. One of the ways that guns find themselves in the hands of criminals is that there are a lot of people who are not licensed dealers, but they're selling a lot of guns. They do it at gun shows, online, on gun shows, out of the trunk of a car. Really, those people are, as we say in the law, in the business of selling guns, but in order to force them to give people background checks, you actually have to set a number, really, of guns that, you know, if you sell that many, you are a dealer and you are therefore obliged to give background checks. I think that would keep a lot of guns from flowing from the primary first sale market into the secondary market for crime guns. That's an example of the kind of thing that she wants to do.
And the question that people have, and by the way, you can get in touch with us by calling the show at 866-557-7377 if you want to talk to Mark, or tweet us at BP Show or at Igor Volsky or at Mark C. Glaze if you want to weigh in on this issue. Some of the pushback that you hear to that particular executive action is, well, where are you going to come up with this number? Is 50 too much? Is 60 too much? What about 23? What about 28? That it's so arbitrary. Why is the government deciding this? What is it based on? So is there a standard? Is there a barometer that we use in another area that we can apply to how many guns you have to sell before you're considered a federally licensed dealer?
So look, I don't want to put words in Mrs. Clinton's mouth. I don't know where she's going to come down on a standard, but, government is about line drawing. You can't refuse to regulate an entire, a secondary market for something that is deadly just because it's hard to figure out who's really making a living off of this and who's not. I think there are two ways you could do it. One is, to me, if you're selling 10, 15 guns a month, you are essentially in the business of selling guns. But that's just me. They might want to set it higher. Another way of doing this is to, essentially do what we now do with gun dealers, which is if, according to tax records, you are really making a living off of this, or a substantial part of your living, that you want to be licensed. And frankly, that was my dad. I grew up, living in the house that was attached to the sort of community store and gas station that my grandparents and then my parents owned, and my dad sold guns out of a glass case. He wasn't selling many of them, really. We were selling gas and groceries and fishing and hunting licenses. But he was a registered dealer because he was selling guns, and he felt that he ought to take the obligations that come with that.
Let's kind of put this package together because, we talked about it in the aftermath of Newtown. It hasn't really come up since, sadly. But if you kind of had your way and you had your will with Congress, you can wave a magic wand. What are 3 or 4 legislative changes you would enact today to help reduce the violence?
So ranging sort of from, easy to do because even 82% of gun owners think it's something we ought to do, to harder to do because it's somewhat more controversial. I would start by closing. Let me start with universal background checks. Now, the Manchin-Toomey bill would have imposed background checks on all commercial sales, and that's a great thing. It would significantly help matters. I think we ought to do what Colorado did with the help of Everytown for Gun Safety and other groups, and essentially require background checks for all gun sales with narrow exceptions for exchanges among family members and other things. That is the best way to do it. We know in Colorado, which is a very hunting-friendly and gun-friendly state where I grew up, that hundreds, if not thousands, of people who were prohibited have already been stopped by that system in the couple of years that it's been in effect. It has probably saved lives, and we can actually look at numbers from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation to say that. We can look at all kinds of states that have recently passed these laws, like Connecticut and Missouri, which passed and then repealed a universal background check. And it's background check requirement. It's interesting to look at a graph. When Missouri passed that law, gun murders went sharply down. When the Missouri legislature flipped and they repealed the universal background check requirement, gun homicides went right back up. It's very stark.
In the details of the background check process, it's not as if you go in to buy a gun from a federally licensed dealer, you have to undergo a background check, and it takes a month. It takes, 6 months, and then maybe somebody will call you, and you're constantly calling them to see where you are in the process. I mean, this is a quick process of getting through a background check. This isn't some hurdle that, it just creates all this anxiety and these waiting periods. I mean, this is where I think, government in some ways is like super efficient. When it comes to background checks, the efficiency is like, you probably wait at a post office longer to mail your package than it takes to do a background check.
Oh, for sure. And I've actually used that analogy. I mean, if you're going to the post office and mailing packages, I am waiting 10 or 15 minutes in line if I'm lucky. To get a background check, people don't understand what it is. I think they think it's some sort of invasive, a bunch of paperwork you have to file out. It's like getting a job with the federal government. It's not. In fact, the gun dealer picks up the phone, sends in your name and social security number, and usually that comes back approved within 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Sometimes it's a couple minutes longer, but this is literally like a couple minute process. And all they're checking to see is if you have a felony conviction, if you have a domestic violence restraining order issued against you, if you've been adjudicated mentally ill. It's a pretty high bar. We let lots and lots of people have guns in this country, and getting approved doesn't take much time. So that's thing number one.
And there's that complication that if it takes longer after 3 days, that's what we saw in Charleston, right? Where he was able to get a gun because of that loophole there.
That's right. We're calling it the Charlestown loophole, and here's what it is. Under current law, because of the insistence of the NRA, if you get a yellow flag when you're going through your background check, meaning there's just something that people want to spend a little bit more time checking out because it requires going to state records, it requires calling a sheriff somewhere. The government has 3 days to do that, and at the end of that, if they're still troubled, if they still think that there may be something there that is disqualifying, but they can't quite nail it down, under law, you can take your gun after 3 days from that dealership. You can buy the gun. That's a real problem. It's what happened with the Charleston shooter. There were problems there, but federal investigators did not have time to complete the investigation. We had to change that and give investigators more time. In California, for example, again, they run their own background checks, and usually it's almost automatic. But California investigators have 30 days. to do that investigation. And this works. We know that 15,000 people or so have gotten guns, and it was later determined that they should not have, but federal investigators couldn't figure that out in only 3 days.
And let's be honest. I mean, if you're buying a gun for hunting purposes or for shooting at the range or whatever, I mean, you can plan ahead. I mean, you can plan ahead to so you have some time to pass your background check. You kind of got to weigh these things, right? Letting someone in through this loophole or waiting a little longer for your gun. It's a matter of priorities. Okay, so let's continue making our list of what Congress needs to do. We have 1, background checks. Number 2.
The second thing I would do is close what we are calling the terror gap. And this is something that Congress tried to do yesterday, and it was rejected for reasons that defy explanation, though we can think of a few, mostly having to do with the the NRA's advocacy. But people find this unbelievable. You know, whenever I post about this on Facebook or on social media, I immediately get back from friends. But no, it's illegal to do that. Terrorists can't get guns. That is not the case. If you are one of the people on a terror watch list, which means the government has reason to suspect that you may be involved in terrorist activity and you are basically being monitored, you can't board a plane in the United States. That's a no-fly list. But you can get a gun. That presence on a watch list is not a basis for the Attorney General or anyone else to stop a gun sale. And this isn't purely theoretical. Senator Lautenberg, rest in peace, had the GAO do a study of how often this has happened. And in fact, 91% of the time that people on a terror watch list have tried to get a gun, they have got that gun successfully. They passed the background check. That has happened more than 2,000 times. Guns and explosives purchased by people who can't, too dangerous to board a plane in this country, but apparently not too dangerous to get a gun. I would close that by giving the Attorney General the authority to block a sale if somebody on the watch list tries to buy explosives or guns. And as the bill does, it was drafted by the Bush administration, approved by the Obama administration. I would build due process protections in there so that, you know, that list is probably over-inclusive, as lists tend to be.
3 million people, is that right?
Well, it depends. That's sort of the huge, it's a number of different lists. The terror watch list is actually closer to 47,000.
And that's the consolidated terror watch list? Is that what that is with the 47,000?
I think the consolidated one is the big one.
The big one. So we're talking about a smaller...
We're talking about the smaller set of people who are, seriously thought to have a reason for give reason for the government to be following them around in some way.
And that's the list with about 47,000, 50,000 people, 50,000 names.
Yeah.
The argument you hear against this, and Jeb Bush was on a different network yesterday and was asked this very question by Karen Tumulty, Washington Post reporter, why not? Why not go ahead and make sure that people on this list have to go through a background check? I mean, it's so sensible. And his argument was, well, if this list was narrower, and if there was due process, that maybe he'd support something like that. Right. I mean, does that sound promising?
It does, but I doubt he means it because there already is due process protection built into the bill. If your name is on the list incorrectly, there is an avenue to get off the list. And this has happened many times. I mean, there are times when people who are relatives of somebody who is being watched, somebody who was an associate or talked with somebody who was being watched, was on that list and really should not have been, and they have gotten off.
In other words, you're trying to buy a gun, you go through the background check, you find out that you're on this terror list. Yeah. What do you do to get off the list?
You can go to the judge, basically, and get off of it. And, if that happened to me, I would probably call the Department of Justice because that's what would occur to me. They would say, yes, you're on the list. I would say, how do I get off of this list? And they would say, go to a judge, tell them what's happening, and they will open a case, and they can fairly quickly determine whether or not you really should be on that list.
And presumably you present some kind of documentation that shows that this is the wrong name or that this was a mistake, and you're able to prove that.
Look, I mean, I hate to repeat it because people will latch onto it, but, Ted Kennedy at some point notoriously was on one of these lists completely by accident. What you do is, you make a phone call, you send some you go to the judge, you say, look at my criminal record, there isn't one, and they take you off the list.
Is there any sense of or estimate that you've seen of how many wrong names are on the list?
I haven't. I don't know if something like that exists. It probably doesn't, but look, the number is pretty small. It's a fairly high, as skeptical as I sometimes am of the powers that the government has to surveil us these days, which is a separate topic. It really is a pretty high threshold to get on a list where the government is actually denying you rights like getting on a plane. They don't do it willy-nilly.
It's so ironic to me that the very same people who call for over-inclusivity when it comes to counterterrorism monitoring of certain people, particularly if they're Muslims, want these very narrow, tailored lists for gun purchases and don't want to build in a buffer of just in case. I mean, it's a pretty crazy argument to make.
That's exactly right. And, the analogy I more often use, and the president is using as well, is, we have spent trillions of dollars to prevent terrorist attacks in this country, and rightly so. And we haven't really, we're figuring out what happened in California, but, we really have not been, the subject of domestic terrorist attacks since 9/11. 90 people a day die from gun violence in this country, and yet, the amount of money that the government spends to keep that from happening is modest, to put it mildly.
Mark Glaze, senior advisor at Purpose Network. He's a gun safety advocate. He'll continue with us right after this. Stay with us.
Follow us on Twitter at BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, they came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge. Damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30, a pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month for Bill Press Show pint glasses. You can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, like a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Carol Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and come on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669. Or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour of The Bill Press Show on this December 4th, 2015. I'm Igor Volsky of Think Progress, filling in for Bill Press as we continue with Mark Glaze, a gun safety advocate. Mark, a lot of the action isn't in Congress when it comes to gun safety. It's in the states. States after Newtown have passed, at least some of them, gun safety regulations, and you are working out in California on strengthening those laws even further.
That's right. Gavin Newsom, the lieutenant governor of the state, and an organization called the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence have teamed up to work to put a ballot initiative on the ballot in November, which would add to what are already some pretty strong gun laws, but close some important gaps in California law, making it by far sort of the toughest gun in the place in the country to get a gun if you shouldn't have one. A couple of things that ballot initiative would do would, in addition to having to get a background check when you're buying a gun, you should also have to have a background check when you're buying serious amounts of ammunition, because we know that that's another one of the implements that we want to control a little bit more closely. And it would also ban the possession of large capacity ammunition magazines. And we know, I've often thought that this is probably better than an assault weapon ban if you want to keep the tools that make mass shootings mass out of the hands of the wrong people, because most guns these days are semi-automatics or could be characterized in some way as assault rifles. There's a lot of them out there. If you could get those high capacity ammunition magazines, which allow a shooter to shoot 30, 50, 100 bullets as fast as they can pull the trigger, I think you would deal with a big part of the mass shooting problem.
And very quickly, you already know the pushback, which is California already has the tightest laws and they still have this mass shooting. What will this change?
Well, California does pretty well at preventing gun violence because they have those tough laws, but no law is going to stop every mass shooting. What you need is a combination of laws that work together, that bite at different parts of the problem to keep this kind of thing from happening. Another serious problem that we have in this country is that in the end, you really do need a uniform federal solution. The problem that California has is that a lot of guns get into that state from neighboring Nevada, which has comparatively weak gun laws.
Mark Glaze is a gun safety advocate. He's on Twitter at Mark C. Glaze. I'm Igor Volsky. We'll be back right after this.
This is The Bill Press Show.
This is why you took a second job. Why you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. Why you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE today.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, it came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge. Damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30, a pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses you can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, like a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Cow Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and go on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
He's not running for president, but he will shake hands and kiss babies. It's the Bill Press Show, your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election.
33 minutes after the hour, Jamie. I don't know why you're playing that. I told you I'm not kissing any babies or shaking your hand today in particular.
Oh, I just have a little cold.
A little cold, yeah. That's why you've been sequestered in the producer's booth. You're not allowed anywhere next to this door.
I'm from the Peter Ogburn School of Producing. No matter sick or whatever, you come in and do the show, no matter what.
I just still haven't gotten my flu shot, and I feel before I get my flu shot, until I get it, I can't be in contact with any sick people. That's just how I've lived my life during the winter months here. I'm Igor Volsky of Think Progress, at Igor Volsky, at BP Show, if you want to chime in. Of course, our number also 866-557-7377. As we pivot a bit from the gun issue and the 355th mass shooting we've seen this year to the presidential election, we're joined now by Ben Jacobs. He's a political reporter for The Guardian, and he's also on Twitter at Ben C. Jacobs. Ben, good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So in the midst of all of this news about what could be domestic terror or just a workplace incident, or who knows, they're still investigating, Republicans found time to attend the forum hosted by the Jewish Coalition. There was a series of them that spoke before the crowd. And of course, as is usually the case, the guy who got the biggest headlines is Donald Trump. And here he is making comments, what you title in your piece, bizarre gaffes, as he talks to a group of Jews yesterday in Washington.
Is there anybody that doesn't renegotiate deals in this room? This room negotiates. I want to renegotiate this room. Perhaps more than any room I've ever spoken to. Maybe more.
And let's play the second one, Jamie, too.
You're not going to support me, even though you know I'm the best thing that could ever happen to Israel. And I'll be that. And I know why you're not going to support me. And, you're not going to support me because I don't want your money. You don't want to give me money, okay? But that's okay. You want to control your own politician. That's fine. Good.
So, Ben, what's going on here? I mean, clearly he's playing into this centuries-old stereotype of Jewish people as being tight with money, always cutting a deal, undercutting people. I thought that the room there was somewhat split, that he got a lot of laughs. People thought this was funny, but reporters who talked to some of the attendees were a little appalled.
Well, I think people thought it was funny to the extent they're not taking Donald Trump seriously. This is not a room where Donald Trump is going to win many people, and no one construed it as anti-Semitism. People just construed it as Donald Trump being Donald Trump.
It's almost like a stand-up comedian performing before a room. If you heard a stand-up comic do those jokes, you wouldn't really be offended. I guess the contrast is it's from the leading GOP presidential contender, and then it becomes more serious.
Yeah, I mean, this is a room of people with professional, a lot of well-heeled donors, Republican power brokers, people who many of whom have done business in New York for decades and thus are the least likely to take Donald Trump seriously of almost anyone in the country. And that if you're just viewing it as insult comedy, this is just, instead of Henny Youngman at Grossinger's, this is Donald Trump doing the latest act on his traveling tour, which is something Trump has been sensitive to. The other day he said on stage, "I'm not an entertainer," and was insisting this because he thought people were not taking him seriously. But if you saw the statement that the Anti-Defamation League put out, they made clear that this is just Donald Trump being Donald Trump, that this wasn't something that was construed as anti-Semitic, really because it's Donald Trump. That if this had been Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio who come up and said the same things, it would have been a meltdown.
Why is it that you think, on this issue and just across the board, he gets a pass? Ben Carson has been kind of falling in the polls because people don't think he has any credibility. But Donald Trump, it doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter if he's totally wrong. There's a new CNN poll, Jamie, I want you to pull up the numbers for us, of Trump. Here we are, months before the first votes are cast. And he's still leading, no matter what he says, no matter what he does. There's a large number of Republicans who support this guy. Jamie, what are the latest numbers from the CNN poll?
All right, so Donald Trump is 20% ahead at 36%. The next closest is Texas Senator Ted Cruz at 16%. Ben Carson, back in October, finished at second in the same CNN poll. He's fallen to third with just 14%, Marco Rubio at 12%, Chris Christie at 4%, Jeb Bush and Carly at 3%.
I've tried to explain this dynamic, and I don't know if there's a simple, clear reason why Trump is still on top and is only rising.
Well, there's a relatively simple, clear reason, which is that people are very frustrated with politics as is, that Donald Trump's voters are deeply frustrated with the direction of the country, that they're not necessarily hardcore Republican activists. These are people, many of whom voted for Obama in 2008. That there's this sort of sense of frustration among Trump voters with the direction of the country. That you have, for example, Obama, who in 2008, his acceptance speech for the nomination in June, this is where the oceans stop rising and the planet begins to heal. The planet hasn't begun to heal. Then 2 years later and 6 years later, you have Republicans elected to Congress. Everything bad Obama's done, we're going to fix it. And of course, they haven't been able to do anything. So you have a sense of frustration with both parties, and Trump's tapping into that deeply populist sentiment. And if you look at how he's continued with stuff like foreign policy, there are folks who insisted after Paris his numbers would go down. But what he speaks to is a lot of the same worries and frustrations that people have over Paris. That our foreign policy, we have a president who, quote unquote, doesn't know how to negotiate, which applies to the Iran deal, with concern about immigration and, building a fence, which would somehow keep out, because there's concern that these were Syrian refugees, these were, how we keep terrorists out. And he tapped into that in a way that does not necessarily make sense in Washington, in New York, but does with people in a lot of the rest of the country, many of whom, frankly, have not been that political, have not been voting before. These are not, to be clear with the Trump voters, these are not the people who go up to every county Republican meeting in Iowa or New Hampshire. These are people, many of whom are a little bit more out of politics in the past.
I get the frustration end, right? I get that people are attracted to Trump because they're frustrated with the status quo, with Congress, with Obama. But what I don't understand is how Trump represents the direction that people want to go in. Like, you like him because he's the anti-establishment, but does that mean that you also like him because of the policy ideas that he deploys?
Well, I think some of it, to some extent, there's the policy in terms of immigration and concern about immigration in particular. But so much of it is that Donald Trump promises a solution, that he's sort of a man on horseback. There's a sort of ideal in American history at various points of folks who will come in from outside of politics and clean things up. If you look at Ross Perot 20 years ago, if you look at when there was the move to draft Douglas MacArthur, that there's sort of someone coming from someplace outside of politics who'll come in and clean things up based on his expertise. That in certain ways, this is as much a cult of personality as it is about policy.
The other element here, and the other big story, is Ted Cruz, who has been very respectful of Donald Trump throughout this race, and is now, I think, able to glean some of the Trump voters, some of the other voters who were disaffected with maybe Jeb Bush, with Ben Carson, and believes that he can consolidate both the libertarian vote and the religious conservative vote, and present himself as a real alternative. How does he fit into this race, and how do you explain his rise in the latest polls?
I think he's been running a very good campaign, a very capable campaign, and that he's sort of methodically focused on working from the Tea Party vote, then evangelicals, and now moving on to increasingly his messaging with the Liberty vote, and sort of trying to edge out his rivals there. You've seen sort of Rand eclipsed, and he sort of specifically tried to go after Rand and grab some of those votes there. That he's, basically trying to build a campaign based off the base. That the typical model in a Republican primary in the past few years is that you only have one or two establishment candidates, and you have, which is not the best term, but it's, for lack of a better term, works, and a half dozen representing, social conservatives, Tea Party wing of the party. That dynamic's really much starting to flip with Cruz as the one very strong candidate there, because Carson's support has been fundamentally soft from the beginning. I mean, the big difference between Trump supporters and Carson supporters is Trump supporters will take a bullet for him. Carson supporters will mention how they really like Ted Cruz or Huckabee or, Rubio too, that there's always, it's never quite as hardcore, not to say that there aren't hardcore Carson supporters. But as Carson sort of fading away as another sort of flavor of the month in the way Fiorina was, in the way that we had Herman Cain and Michelle Bachmann in past cycles, Cruz has consolidated that.
Ben Jacobs is political reporter for The Guardian. He's on Twitter at Ben C. Jacobs. Follow him there. He'll be back at the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, it came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge, damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. Any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge helps keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30, a pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month for Bill Press Show pint glasses you can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, like a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Cow Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and go on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
Yes, it is. 48 minutes after the hour. We are trucking along here on The Bill Press Show. Still with Ben Jacobs. He's the political reporter for The Guardian. And we've been discussing Donald Trump, and I've been trying to figure out why voters are still telling pollsters that Trump is their number one choice. Ben, you have been to a lot of these Trump rallies. You've spoken to a lot of these Trump supporters. Water this down for me. What are they grasping at? What is resonating? Why is there so much excitement around this guy?
Would be a couple of different factors. I mean, there's the fact that there's an outsider and that he's viewed as not corrupt and not a politician. This is someone whose shtick has been, much of it is about, I can't be bought.
Yeah.
I'm too rich to be bought. You can't buy me. I'm independent of the political process. I'm self-financing, which he isn't, which is its own other complicated story. But that he's someone outside the process who can clean things up, that there's this, as I was saying before, a fundamental frustration with the status quo in both parties. And that if you talk to folks that this is not, Trump doesn't attract people who are very wound up on social issues, that if your number one issue is life, if your number one issue is marriage, you're not a Trump supporter.
You're going to Ted Cruz these days.
Or Ted Cruz or Huckabee or Carson, or there's enough folks out there that, you know, that still there certainly draws his share of social conservatives.
On this self-financing point, though, why is he not self-financing?
He hasn't had the need to put the money in. That right now,
so it's been free media that he's been writing?
Not part free media, and part of it is that actually building off success. It's been earned media that he's been getting the attention and working with it. That if you look at his last campaign finance report, he spent, I think, only $100,000 of his own money in the last quarter. There are questions about how liquid he is, but that's sort of the key factor with Donald Trump, that if he ever actually spends any of his money and goes on TV and does mail, then he could be a really formidable candidate. And there are questions whether he will or whether he won't.
So just to be clear what you're saying here, he's been leading the polls for months now. He's been outspent by all of the other presidential candidates, and he's only spent so it's $100,000 this last quarter.
He spent $1.9 million total. That he spent a lot before that. In the last quarter, it was $4.4 million, if I recall correctly, which came from donations, and there's been debates, issues in the campaign about, there's some point they're doing some solicitation for small donors where, if, every dollar you send in, Mr. Trump will give to, and hats as well.
Those hats. Okay.
Because those are technically considered campaign donations. Because if you buy a hat from the campaign, that's a thing. There's the story where Andrew Stiles from the Free Beacon was exposed, not really exposed, because he's been making fun of Donald Trump for months, because he bought hats for the office and it was over the $250 limit, so it was reported. And there's a story that had him breathlessly reporting that this reporter had listed himself as #1 Trump fan on the FEC report, which was beyond sarcastic, but it was, I think, probably the most successful trolling adventure of the Free Beacon.
So just to give us a comparison point, so the last quarter, Trump spent $1.9 million.
That's how much total he's put in his his campaign. That it was 1.8 for the second quarter, which was most of it was paying people, that it was sort of reimbursing himself for paying.
What's the comparable number for somebody like Ted Cruz or even Jeb Bush? Or
Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush would be at triple or sort of money taking and triple or quadruple
that's just remarkable to me.
And then you also have the factor of super PACs, though they're different on campaigns. Like Carson's campaign, for example, raised $20 million, but spent about 14 on it, most of it on actually raising that money, that it's sort of a direct mail cycle where it really is they're spending money to make money, and it's a constant cycle where the money just goes back to direct mail.
Ben, it's remarkable to me that he's been able to spend so little yet gain so much traction and so much support, because, as you say, at least partly because he's gotten media attention and he has been the story, and that's provided so much momentum for him.
The momentum's become he's the #1 candidate in the polls, that it's hard to say that the media should stop covering the #1 candidate. And it's also worth noting that it's not like these stories are exactly fawning puff pieces. That the stories, in the past week we've had, Donald Trump making, trafficking and anti-Semitic stereotypes to a Jewish crowd. We've had Donald Trump making fun of reporters' disability. We had, the New Jersey Muslims holding tailgates on 9/11.
Yeah.
That none of these stories are, that this isn't, the type of fawning media coverage you'd expect. That I think there's something going on where he's speaking to a deeper vein, in deeper frustration with American voters. And it's a question of how that plays out.
Yeah, and it's a real story now. And it's a real story. Ben Jacobs, political reporter for The Guardian, of course, on Twitter at Ben C. Jacobs. Thank you so very much for all of your insight. The Bill Press Show will continue with our final thoughts on this and, of course, the guns issue right after this.
Hey, here we go, friends and neighbors. A little time out here to talk about this Free Speech TV pledge drive. It's our December pledge drive. Your last chance to help free speech and to take advantage of the tax deduction before the end of the year. Heading into the weekend, we encourage you to not to wait any longer, to take advantage of this opportunity to show your support for free speech right now. As I mentioned the other day, no more Mr. Nice Guy just telling you how much we love you and how much we know you love us, and therefore you're going to help us. No. I told you I was going to get a little tougher. In fact, it came out and said, come on, make your pledge, damn it. And guess what? It worked. We had the biggest day we had so far just because I used the damn it phrase. So let's try it again, all right? Let's be a little tougher. Stop farting around. Yeah, come on, get off your ass and make your pledge, damn it, and do it today. We need your help. Seriously, look, we wouldn't even be doing this pledge drive. We wouldn't even be asking for your help if it weren't important. You know about Free Speech TV. It is such a rare national treasure, and I'm so proud to be part of it. It is the only independent, the only progressive, the only totally freewheeling, the only non-corporate media out there on television that you can enjoy 24/7 with such great hosts and great information and great opportunity to get your voices out there. And if that's what you want and that's what you appreciate, then please show your appreciation by helping us as much as you can. any pledge is valuable. Any pledge we appreciate. Any pledge helps keeps us going. We just ask you to be as generous as you can. And you do your share. We'll do our share by sending you some wonderful little gifts to accompany your pledge. If you can just help us with $30. A pledge for $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and pen set. For $60, that's $5 a month. Come on, a Free Speech TV calendar with a photograph for every month of one of your favorite Free Speech TV hosts, including yours truly. $120, $10 a month, 4 Bill Press Show pint glasses you can sip while you watch. For $240, a little package put together for the Women's Bean Project, a contribution to that great project, a little can of soup and a bundle of cornbread, and 2 of those Bill Press Show pint glasses. For $360, a Cow Press scarf like this one that's just $30 a month. Some of you have already done this. I've heard from some of you, and so excited to get a Carol Press scarf for that $360 pledge. For $1,000, you get yourself to Washington early in 2016. Carol and I will take you out to dinner and go on in the next morning and meet our whole team here. Make your pledge today, again, as generously as you can to 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. Again, thank you for your help. Happy holidays.
This is the Bill Press Show.
57 minutes after the hour, closing off another edition of the Bill Press Show, and another edition in which we had to spend the entire hour figuring out what to do to stop the senseless gun deaths in this country. And you know, this latest shooting really cleared it all up for me. It's time to put shame and emotion into this fight and call these lawmakers out and say very, very clearly that the people who vote against gun safety measures and stand in the way of background checks and other gun regulations are getting exactly what they paid for. And that's 355 mass shootings in 2015 alone. Let's stop it. Together, we can do it. We can do it and go up against the NRA, go up against these lawmakers, shame them into doing the right thing. Bill's back on Monday. I'm Igor Volsky.
This is the Bill Press Show.